welcome to Talking Sports. I'm one of your hosts, Miles Schild. This is my co-host.
Andrew Volkman, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah. All right, let's get right into it. Let's talk about it. 49ers, Lions. How do you think that went?
Well, first of all, that game was a shootout, to say the least. Um, the Lions had a very solid game. 49ers, very solid game. Start with the Lions. Jared Goff, he went 26 for 34 on passing with 303 yards and 3 touchdowns. No interceptions, so that's always good to see from Jared Goff, him limiting those interceptions. Jameson Williams also had a solid game. He had a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs also had a solid game, well over 100 yards. It was a very solid game, and for Jahmyr Gibbs, this proved that he can do it alone without David Montgomery, and David Montgomery obviously going to be out until at least the NFC Championship game. So for Lions fans, you have something to look forward to with Jahmyr Gibbs in the playoffs. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy, he went 27 for 35, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That is a little worrisome. Also worrisome is he does have a bruised elbow. He did aggravate it, apparently, during this game. However, there was some also shining moments with Ricky Pearsall. He stepped up for a touchdown. He had a solid game as well. And we're going to go back to Brock Purdy here. This game proved several things for him, and one of them is his free agents market. And now I'm not sure how much the elbow is going to do anything, but for free agency, this game is going to prove that he's going to get paid somehow. You agree, Miles?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's really nothing. There's no thing as a cheap quarterback, right? But Brock Purdy is that, right? He was the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant. He's getting paid less than $1 million. I don't think that'll be the case. Just due to his booming resume, taking the 49ers to the Super Bowl and coming in as the third string quarterback and getting that start because of injuries, obviously. Beating out Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, who are both backups now. But I think Brock Purdy's getting paid. And, I don't think we can, those 2 interceptions, I mean, the Lions have a really good secondary.
Yeah, 100%. You talk about the Lions. I want to focus on something that Troy Aikman said. He was a little concerned about the Lions' defense with all the injuries and Aiden Hutchinson especially being the most affected and affecting the defense the most. And I would have to agree with Troy because the Lions' defense has been subpar at best. I mean, they've allowed a lot of points and they've relied on their offense to come away with wins. I don't know. It's just a little concerning if you are a Lions fan, and we're obviously not. We're Packers fans. So we don't care to see the Lions get beat up in the playoffs at one point. The Lions offense still is one of the best, and no slouch is their defense. Their defense is still really good, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. But in my personal opinion, I think their offense, again, like we saw Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 18 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown. And he usually does that, right? Even with David Montgomery, who those two are their top 10 running backs in the league.
Yeah, they're Sonic and Knuckles, so I mean,
Yeah.
that team is going to be very good.
Yeah.
Back to Brock Purdy. I was gonna mention about his contract. I would hopefully think that he's gonna want money for sure. And but I think that with him loving the 49ers and the 49ers love him, like all the other players, they rallied around him when he got that touchdown early in the first half, and he was really happy about that. And I think overall that 49ers team has come together as a team through the hard times. And Brock Purdy, hopefully he and John Lynch can work something out that benefits both him and the team going forward. Now, as we transition a little bit more in the show, we're going to look at some free agents that are coming up this season. One of them is T. Higgins, and we look at T. Higgins. He's been one of the best wide receivers in football, and for the Bengals over these last couple of years since he came to the league out of LSU. Obviously, he has that good connection with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. But this year, we kind of seen that dissipate a little bit. He's not very happy with how his role is on the team. He's not the number one receiver. He wants a little bit more money, and right now, where do you see Miles he getting everything he wants from an NFL team?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the T. Higgins and the Commanders could be a very good matchup. Listen, I think if he wants that Super Bowl contender, the Commanders are that. If he wants a future, the Commanders are that, right? They have a young guy who's going to be their franchise quarterback, and they're a pass first team. So he's going to get the ball. And listen, I think Terry McLaurin and T. Higgins battling it out for that number one spot could be a good battle. And I think T. Higgins could win just because, he's younger. He's, he's looked good. But I don't think Terry McLaurin will be mad going into that number two spot. But the financially, the Commanders are in a spot where they can bring in a guy like T. Higgins.
Yeah, 100%. I think that if Terry McLaurin's targets were to be slashed a little bit, I don't think it would be that by that much. Again, the Commanders are more of a pass first team, and no disrespect to Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler, but it's clear that the Commanders are going to lean more on Jaden Daniels' arm than anything else. Are there any other teams that you have for T. Higgins at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the obvious teams who need receivers like the Patriots or the Panthers. But to me, T. Higgins doesn't seem like the guy. Obviously, I don't know T. Higgins, but from what I have heard, he does not seem like the guy to go to a team just for the money. Maybe if he wants money and to be a competitor, number one, I think maybe the Steelers could also be an option for him.
Yeah, totally. And it's a very interesting, and T. Higgins is a very interesting player. He's very talented, of course. We'll just have to wait and see what he decides and what he gets offered, possibly. Another guy that we're looking at who could be a replacement for T. Higgins in Cincinnati is Chris Godwin, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Chris Godwin, obviously, out for the rest of the season with a devastating injury he suffered. I think it was back in week 6, I believe, somewhere
Yeah,
around
somewhere
that.
around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So, Chris Godwin, we look at his career, he's mostly been a number 2 guy, mostly to Mike Evans when Julio Jones was there. He was actually pushed back to like number 3, I think, and then Russell Gage was also there at one point. So Chris Godwin is no familiar. He's familiar to being a number 2, I should say. And so moving to Cincinnati, it would be nothing different. I think it could be like a prove it year for Chris Godwin that he can still do it even after being having that serious injury. And I think Joe Burrow would benefit from that. I think Jamar Chase will benefit from the rest that Chris Godwin will give him. And if Jamar Chase gets hurt, you got a capable guy that can step in as the number 1 wide receiver in Chris Godwin.
Mhm. Yeah, I completely agree. Chris Godwin, we like you said, he's been the number 2 guy for a long time, and obviously you're not going to beat Jamar Chase, who's one of the best in the game, for the number 1 spot. And I don't think he has a issue being the number 2 guy. I guess we could see Chris Godwin going back to the Buccaneers because of their history, or going to a team like the Steelers. We'll have to see.
Yeah, totally. And not to say Chris Godwin may not want to be a number 1 wide receiver, and he could get it again with the Steelers. Like we talked about with T. Higgins, we could also see him go to the Patriots, the Titans, if they have enough budget, the Raiders, if they have enough budget again. And we're going to get to a guy that the Raiders could target very soon. But while we're on the topic of wide receivers, Stephon Diggs is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and Miles has lined up a couple teams over there, and I think we were talking about it before we started recording here that the Texans are one of them, and the Panthers as well. So explain the Panthers to me, because it's a little out there, I think, for me at least.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna go off because I've gone off a few times about Stephon Diggs. Now, the man, I have no idea what he wants. I only have the Panthers and Texans as teams, but that's because what does the guy want? Like, I mean, he went to the Bills, right? And he wasn't happy. He had Josh Allen, who is arguably the best, if not the best quarterback in the league, MVP caliber. He had a good coach in Sean McDermott. He had a good Super Bowl candidate team. And he wasn't happy. He was the number one guy. He was getting paid enough. And he wasn't happy. Went to the Texans. And obviously, before the ACL injury, he wasn't the number one guy, right? Nico Collins was that number one guy. Tank Dell, the number 3 guy. But he wasn't happy with the receptions he was getting. Obviously, he then had that ACL injury that ended his season, and we never really got to see how it played out. But I think the Panthers, to me, would be able to pay Stephon Diggs because obviously winning a Super Bowl isn't important to him, and he could get paid, and he'd get a lot of targets if he would go to the Panthers.
Yeah, 100%. And again, he's also kind of in the situation Chris Godwin is in, if you think about it. Again, injury. He's on an expiring deal. He's maybe not as disgruntled as Chris Godwin is, because Chris Godwin, he hasn't shown sign of being a little disgruntled little guy. But Stephon Diggs, Panthers, it makes sense. Again, other receiver teams that we've already mentioned, Steelers, Titans, Raiders, Vikings, maybe look for a reunion. Speaking of reunion, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, that 1-2 punch from Minnesota. Patriots could also be there. 49ers, maybe, if they move on from Deebo Samuel, if they find the money.
Yeah.
So, and the Texans, we'll just break it down like it's the boring option, but the Texans would give Stephon Diggs another shot because they need someone else alongside Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And Tank Dell just got hurt again. It's very rough to see. And then Nico Collins has proven that he can't stay on the field the whole time. The Texans will need someone else to fill in if Nico Collins gets hurt again. And Tank Dell may not always be there, clearly, after 2 seasons of injury-riddled seasons, I should say. And now the last guy we're going to talk about is Sam Darnold. Now, some could say that he is the biggest fish in this free agent pool, if you get what I'm saying. That little fish jug there. So, for right now, me and Miles have both lined up 2 very, I would say, good landing spots for Sam Darnold. And we've gone our heads what could happen in the draft, because there are some teams out there that need quarterbacks. Giants, Titans, Raiders, Jets, possibly, if they decide to move on from Aaron Rodgers. The 49ers, like we just said. So, we lined up 2 possible scenarios, and that is the Raiders and the Vikings. So, Miles, why don't you break it down for me?
Yeah, listen, and when he says we talked about the draft, let's just say we had a very long production meeting before this where we went over every possible scenario, and it was hard to fit Sam Darnold in those scenarios because as of right now, the draft order has the Patriots getting the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, they are comfortable with Drake May, so they get a guy like Travis Hunter. But the Titans have the number 2 pick. They bench Will Levis. He's not their future. So they would get a quarterback, right? The Browns have the number 3 as of now. I don't even know what the Browns right now. What do you like?
I mean, they're going to, all signs point to them bringing Deshaun Watson back to start and them most likely signing 3 other quarterbacks to fill the role. If he gets hurt again, like we saw with Jameis Winston this year, and Tyler Huntley was signed at one point. So we kind of know what the Browns are doing, but we don't know who else they could bring in. I mean, they could try to bring in Sam Darnold, but I don't know if he would be very happy with being a backup. No, he wouldn't. No,
I think it's... Listen, Sam Darnold, obviously, the Jets, that was disappointing, but the Jets, no one can survive in the Jets. Obviously, not as bad as the Chicago Bears. That's where quarterbacks go to die. But listen, I think Sam Darnold going to the Raiders would make sense because of what I was saying. The Giants have a spot where they can take a guy like Shedeur Sanders or Kim Ward, and the Titans have a spot, right? So I think whoever needs a quarterback and isn't in the top 3 or 4, Sam Darnold is their guy.
And that is the Las Vegas Raiders, that right there.
Yeah, because, listen, I don't remember exactly who the Raiders are going to play, but they're in a spot where they could win, where other teams could lose. And even if they do lose, I think worse teams are going to lose, and they're going to drop down even more.
Yeah, and I think they're playing the Chargers, and the Chargers, we don't know what they could still play for, and that could still be like better seating. But like, I hear they're resting Gus Edwards, and they're gonna use Blake Corum. I think I've heard some
Yeah.
rumblings and rumors about that. They're
Blake Corum's on the Rams.
Oh, he's on the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake, folks. They're gonna rest. My point is, they're gonna rest Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins is still recovering from his injury. So I'm hearing that the running back room may be given an off week. So either way, pardon my blunder, but Raiders and Sam Darnold, it feels like a good match. And now the reason why we're also talking about the Vikings as well is because there's a possibility that J.J. McCarthy is not going to be healthy next year. Let's remember that, folks.
Right.
And he also maybe needs time to study the playbook because he got hurt during practice even before he could set foot on a preseason field. And yeah, he needs that experience. So it's going to be his rookie season next year, basically. So
yeah,
maybe the Vikings could convince Sam Darnold to take a 1-year deal, give the Vikings more flexibility, but that's not what Sam Darnold would be looking for this offseason, right or not?
Right. Obviously, no. But I think the big reason is maybe not as much J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he would have a lot to do. I mean, obviously, they're going to have a lot. They drafted a guy top 10 to be their franchise quarterback, but they didn't expect Sam Darnold to be this guy, right? They got a backup quarterback from the 49ers and did not expect that. Okay, so, but depending on how far Sam Darnold can take the Vikings in the playoffs, you cannot deny him that he could be your guy. Like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. And again, Raiders could offer him something the Vikings can't, and that is secure longevity with a franchise. And again, Vikings, JJ McCarthy, we don't know what their plan is. We don't know what Kevin O'Connell is working up over there. We do know that the Vikings are going to be contending against the Lions this weekend to see who gets that number 1 seed and who wins the NFC North. And just looking at Sam Darnold's numbers have been amazing this year, so he's definitely he's going to want a multi-year deal. He may not get it because few landing spots for quarterbacks, especially starting quarterbacks. And if we look at some other quarterbacks, I mean, Russell Wilson's going to be hitting the market this year. Kirk Cousins, he's expected to be cut. And there's also a few other guys, Drew Lock, Jameis Winston. We'll worry about those guys a little bit later. So what do you see for the Steelers quarterback situation? Because they obviously have Russell Wilson on an expiring deal. Justin Fields is on an expiring deal. So what do you see, Miles?
Yeah, listen. I think this is Justin Fields' moment. And Russell Wilson has had his moment, and he's had it with 3 other teams, right? Well, 3 teams, including the Steelers. But Justin Fields, it is now or never. I mean, he's at his mid to late 20s, and I think he's looked good, right? We saw him throw around 6 or 7 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah, it was very impressive in those few games. Yeah,
right. And then Russell Wilson came back and obviously did very well.
Yeah, he's had interception problems, but still, Russ has been very good.
Yeah. So, but I think that the Steelers should and will do everything in their power to bring back Justin Fields to be their franchise guy. Because I know I've heard that the Seahawks and I mean, if the Niners don't bring Brock Purdy back, Justin Fields would probably be an interest. So there is going to be interest for Justin Fields. And I think the Steelers need to do everything they can to get him back.
Yeah, he's younger. Russell Wilson, he's going to be 35 or 36 next year, somewhere in that range. Yeah. So it's definitely the twilight of Russ's career. And Justin Fields, his career could very well just be taking off. And look at what possible landing spots for Russ. Like we just talked about the 49ers, if they maybe they get rid of Brock Purdy, they need someone to bridge the gap between now and their franchise quarterback. Russ could be that, I guess. And then we talked about some of the backup quarterbacks. Joe Flacco will be leaving this year, so the Colts could want a mentor for Anthony Richardson. Russ could land there. The Browns, like we said, again, like I said, the market and the openings for starting quarterbacks is very slim, and Russell Wilson, he just hasn't proven to be a guaranteed star in the NFL. You would think that, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I talked about where no quarterback is cheap, right? Listen, all these quarterbacks, they're getting mega deals, right? They're getting 4 or 5 year contracts. They're getting $150 million. That is tough because now you got all these guys who, if Rodgers gets cut, if Kirk Cousins get cut, you're gonna go with a younger guy because you already got, guys, right? Derek Carr. Like, let's talk about Derek Carr for a second. I mean, where's that guy been, right? I mean, he's getting paid $100 million. Derek Carr on that Saints team has been nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, injuries. Spencer Rattler's been taking over. He's been
He's been decent. He's serviceable, I guess.
Yes, I mean, probably a career backup. So I just think, it's a tough market to be a quarterback right now. You know what? It's not a tough market to be? A running back. I think that you can never use, you could use a running back all the time. And I think the Lions proved it with having David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, and Packers, they went out and got Josh Jacobs. Yeah, the price was Josh Jacobs' contract and get rid of Aaron Jones. And
Yeah.
that hit home for us Packers fans, no doubt. Let's move on a little bit more. And I think right there was your hot take. You talking about Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins being cut a little bit, like those landing spots for them.
Yeah. Listen, we know Rodgers has already been. He's made it clear that he is willing to mentor a quarterback, which is why I think the Jets should keep him at this point, where they can take a guy like Jalen Milroe. I really like Jalen Milroe, and I'd love to see him in a Jets jersey. Bring some youthfulness to that team. Probably take the drama away a little bit. Having Rodgers mentor, we've seen him be able to do it with Jordan Love. And then Kirk Cousins, he mentored Michael Penix. Even when Penix took over his job, he still helped him and still continued to do good. Russell Wilson helping out Justin Fields. Those are 3 guys who are like coaches, who you can also put on the field when those young guys don't do good.
Yeah, totally. And that, folks, we're going to trademark this. Eventually, we will. That was Miles' hot take of the episode.
Yeah.
First hot take.
First hot take. Not the most hot, but it's a take. So we'll get better hot takes as we go on.
Yeah, maybe I'll have one or here and there or something, but I think it's Miles' show. He's been able to be more critical about some things. All right, we're gonna move to more hometown and regional part of the show.
Let's do it.
We're gonna talk about the Green Bay Packers, and I don't know if you know, and I don't know if you can tell, but me and Miles, we are living in Wisconsin right now. We are Green Bay Packers fans. We want to go to the draft, actually.
Yeah,
which is in Green Bay this year.
We'll have an episode for that. Might be a live stream. Might be testing that out. So
we'll see. Get
ready.
Yeah, so we'll see. But let's talk about the Packers, and let's start with one of the issues that they have, and it's the secondary, and mostly in Jair Alexander. You've shown me some things. Rumors are swirling that the Packers will part way with Jair Alexander. Some people are predicting it, just not specifically in what way. Like, he could be traded, he could be cut. And Jair Alexander, he did sign a 4-year, $84 million contract back in 2022 that will keep him with the Packers until 2026. And we've seen this kind of thing before. I would say when Jair Alexander first got that deal, he was still ascending. His performance was still ascending, and the Packers saw something in him and we're like, well, let's pounce on it right now. We don't know how long we can wait. And he kind of plateaued and kind of came back down a little bit. And ever since he signed that contract, it feels like he's more injury prone, I would say. Maybe you would agree with that?
Yeah. Listen, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, but Andrew's the better one. When I see Jair Alexander, I just want him gone. I mean that as respectfully as I can do it. The man is getting paid as one of the highest paid corners to keep talking. All he does is trash talk, get hurt, sit on the sideline, get paid. That's all he does, right? And that just makes me angry because at this point, I want to see some young guy. I want to see some big free agent like DJ Reed from the Jets. We could talk about that later. And Jair, whether we find a trade or not, will not be a Green Bay Packer next year.
Yeah, that's a tough sentence to utter. I mean, that would probably be a tough sentence to utter for me to utter, but for you, I don't know, because Miles can be a little more critical than I can. I'm more forgiving and more reasonable, I guess, maybe. Except when it came to Kevin King, because
boo.
Kevin King, he might be one of the worst first-round selections ever. We could have had T.J. Watt.
Oh, gosh.
T.J. Watt. I also remember when Jordan Love was selected and everyone was freaking out because we could have had Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
But
we also took that offensive lineman over Barry and Deion Sanders, and that was a long time ago. We'll get over that.
And we had Jordan Morgan this year. So
boo.
So Brian Gutekunst, he's got to sharpen up on his first round draft pick. I mean, Jordan Morgan, he's proven to be okay. He just can't stay on the field and Yeah, all right. Let's keep her moving.
Let's stay on topic here.
Let's keep her moving.
We only got like 5 minutes left of the show.
Yeah. So Jair Alexander, he's not going to be a Green Bay Packer next year.
Another big corner, not going to be a Green Bay Packer next year. Eric Stokes, Kevin King 2.0 right there.
I mean, to be fair, when Eric Stokes came into the Packers organization, he was highly touted out of college, and his rookie season was very solid. He was looking very good. He was looking like a lockdown corner. The next year started off nice, and then he got hurt, unfortunately, and he spent the rest of that season, the next season, and the next season after that just injured and not being able to get on the field consistently. And now this year is his first time being healthy ever, and it's not been a good bounce back.
He got benched. Let's just put it nicely. He got benched.
I mean, hopefully we'll use him in the playoffs because I think he will make that secondary better, but that he'll make it better to a degree. So 2 guys not looking like they will be on the Packers next season. And one guy me and Miles have looked over is DJ Reed of the New York Jets. And Miles, what can you tell me about him? What can you tell me?
Yeah, I like him. I mean, I know a lot of other people do too. If you look, you can see that's who they want the Packers to sign, obviously. The Packers don't like to listen to us fans. But DJ Reed, I think, could really get our cornerback room. Because, listen, we have solid safeties with Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney. But I think DJ Reed could really be good. DJ Reed, Javon Bullard. Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, Keyshawn Nixon.
Carrington Valentine's another solid young corner that hopefully will develop a little bit.
Yeah. So I think there's guys out there. So let's stay on the Packers topic. Let's start talking about the receivers.
Yeah, and me and Miles, this is probably something he wants to say a little bit more than I do, but gosh dang it, Matt LaFleur, give Jaden Reed more targets. Make more plays run towards him. Now, Jaden Reed, he's very solid.
For sure.
And he's not the main focus of this, but we just got to say that real quick. But the next guy is Christian Watson. He, unfortunately, just can't stay healthy and stay on the field. It's a knee injury. Hopefully, he'll be back for the postseason. And the Packers right now, we rely on the big play. And Christian Watson, he fuels the big play. He is the big play, I would argue.
Yeah.
And then we also have Romeo Doubs, Jane Reed, Malik Heath, Bo Melton, a few other players that provide sparks here and there, and they get yards, everything like that. But right now, when we're passing, we rely on the big play. And Christian Watson right now, he's just can't stay healthy. And there's a guy that you've looked at from Ohio State that has caught your eye.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, we keep re-recording this episode, and I keep butchering this guy's name. Let's just say his first name starts with the E and his last name starts with the E. He's from Ohio State. Should I try it?
Yeah, why not? We're here.
Mbike Edebike? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and for the record, we haven't had we didn't think to look it up and try to sound it out like first graders.
Not. No, I mean, we're teenage boys sitting at a table in my house, Red Slide Studios, by the way. Trying to figure out how to say an Ohio State receiver's name. It just wasn't a priority.
Yeah, no, it's not. We were eating pizza and
All right, we gotta stay on task. Let's
of course.
Let's talk. Tucker Kraft. That is a good receiver for love to throw the ball
And
to.
yeah, and this double E guy, we'll call him that. I'm so sorry if you are a follower of this guy and you're probably sitting there yelling at us. This is how you pronounce his name. You listen to me, young man. We don't care. We really don't care how to.
That we probably should say that. Staying on task.
We don't care. But like he could be another guy the Packers add if Christian Watson can't stay healthy, and it's very interesting. So moral of the story: Jaden Reed, more targets. Christian Watson, please stay healthy, please, and maybe let's get this guy in the draft because he looks really good.
Yeah.
So always go Paco. We'll see him this Sunday against the Chicago Bears. We don't know what they're playing for. We don't know who they're gonna rest, but
yeah. And I would just like to say to that one viewer of our podcast,
one listener, you mean?
Oh, one listener. Sorry. Hi, Grandma. Thanks for listening. Okay. That's all that we have time for.
Yeah,
today.
we're running a little overtime, but this has been the first episode. We get overtime. How about that?
Yeah. Wow.
Overtime presented by Red Side Studios here. Yeah. Talking Sports.
This has been Talking Sports with Miles
and Andrew.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you later.